Was good, y'all? Rich Salsa back in the building with another banger, man. So before we get any further into this video, first things first, thank you to the man upstairs. Shout out to the Rich Gang family for always showing up and showing out. And man, y'all already know what y'all need to do. Be sure to hit that sub button if you're new. Anybody looking to join the Rich Gang family, be sure to go ahead and turn on post notifications as well as hit that like button, and do not forget to leave a comment. Y'all know I'm responding to everybody. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Now let's go ahead and get into the talking about this build. Today I got a very rare build coming at y'all. So the build name is actually going to come out to a 3-point specialist, but I'm going to go ahead and call it a two-way 3-point specialist. Now, I'm calling it that because when it comes down to it, if you make one minor change on this build when it comes down to the wingspan, it's going to come out to a perimeter lockdown. So very glitchy, overpowered build. Now, the first thing you want to go ahead and do is, of course, put this build under the shooting guard position. As for the pie chart, go ahead and pick the one right here that's going to be the green and the red, but with more shooting than the defensive end. Now, when it comes down to the physical profile, you can go with one of two options. Either the first one for the max speed, or if you take a minor hit on it, go with the fourth one. This is going to give you a huge boost to your vertical. It really comes down to what you want to do and how you see it, but for me, I like to balance out my builds when it comes down to the speed, acceleration, and vertical, so this is what I'm going to go ahead and put. Now, when it comes down to the breakdown of these stats, just please be sure to follow along exactly as I show y'all, and I promise you, everything is going to work out. So, we're going to go ahead and get started with the finishing side. Go ahead and put that driving dunk all the way up to a 70. That's going to be left as is. Do not touch anything else for the finishing side of things. As for the mid-range, put this to an 80. Three-pointer, we're actually going to go ahead and max this out. And then as for the free throw, I'm going to go ahead and put this to a 91. And finally, for the post fade, this is really optional, but I'm going to go ahead and raise this to where I get exactly somewhere around 24 badges. So I'm going to put this and leave it at a 76, and that is going to be perfect for this build. Now, for the pass accuracy, you want to go ahead and max this out. Same exact thing for the ball handle, and then when it comes down to the post control, go ahead and put this to a 56, and that's going to give us 13 playmaking badges. We still have close to 200 attributes left over, so now let's go ahead and see what this build is made like when it comes down to looking like a two-way. We're going to go ahead and max out that interior defense. Perimeter defense can only be a 77. If you go anything higher, the build name is going to change. As for the lateral quickness, max this out. Still going to be the same exact thing. And now with these next 70 stats, what I'm going to go ahead and do is first go ahead and put your block to a 58, and then when it comes down to the rebounding on this build, for my liking, I'm going to go with an offensive rebound of 63 and max out that defensive rebound at a 74. I'm going to be able to get 19 defensive badges. Honestly, the way that this build is looking, the setup is really solid, especially for being a rare build name. Now, if you want to change anything, I highly recommend do not touch your shooting at all. If you want to, you can go ahead and change up the defensive side or even the playmaking. I'm going to leave it as is, but now let's go ahead and get into the body shape. What I like is going to be built or burly or even defined. Now, when it comes down to the height, this is very specific to maintain the build name as well as get those park dunks. So I'm going to go ahead and go one tick up to 6'6", y'all. Now remember, all of these are really optional. I'm just doing it based on my preference and what I found best. Now when it comes down to the weight, I feel like 183 is going to be the perfect weight that you want to go with. And then when it comes down to the wingspan, here is where things are going to get even better. So if you decide to go ahead and raise it, either max or even if you go ahead and lower it, it comes down to what you want to do. But 87.0 is looking really nice on this build. Even 86.1, both of these look solid. But again, with both of them, you're going to be able to maintain those park dunks, which is definitely something that we want. And look, we get the sharpshooting takeover, then we get the lockdown as well as the playmaking. All of these are going to be really effective. Again, it just comes down to your playstyle and which takeover you feel like is going to be best and suits you. For me, I would highly recommend picking the sharpshooting takeover or even the lockdown. Both of these are a really good option. I'm going to leave it up to y'all. And as you can see, we have made the 3-point specialist, but look at the defensive side of this build. Remember, really overpowered, and I'm telling you, the build continues to get even better, especially if you decide to go ahead and follow along with the badges that I'm going to show y'all. But before that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick look at what this build is going to be looking like once you max it out with everything taken into consideration. Bind boost, running with teammates that are going to have Hall of Fame floor general and defensive leader, and also with your takeover activated, y'all. So if you decided to go with the sharpshooting takeover with bind boost and running with the teammate that's going to have Hall of Fame floor general, you're going to be able to maintain a +10 from the takeover on the sharpshooting takeover, which is going to allow you to get a 99 3-pointer as well as a 99 free throw. If you go with the playmaking, you're going to be able to break ankles as well as speed boost. And then if you go with the lockdown takeover, pretty much you'll be able to maintain a 99 lateral quickness as well as the steal. Defensive rebound going to be somewhere around a 98, which is really solid. And then for that perimeter defense, this is going to be in the 90s as well. Really overpowered. And even for that block, this has the potential to be in the mid to high 80s. Something to really consider when it comes down to this build. Even the mid-range will go up a lot if you decided to go with the sharpshooting takeover. It really comes down to your preference and which takeover you feel like you're going to be working best with. And for me, that really just comes down to your personal playstyle, like I said earlier. So honestly, all around, the best takeover for this build, I would highly say, is going to be the sharpshooting. Now let's go ahead and get into the breakdown of these badges. As for the finishing, there's really only 1 or 2 badges that I would consider. That is going to be posterizer or even fearless finisher. But I am just happy that on this build, we're able to get park dunks right off rip. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next category of badges, which is going to be the playmaking. We get 13 here, so honestly, just be sure to spread the wealth as best as you possibly can, as well to your own liking. So I'm going to go with first, handles for days on gold, and then also quick first step. Now, with the remaining 7, this is really comparable to whatever you want to do, but for me, I'm going to go with quick chain as well as hyperdrive, both on gold. And if you want to, you can go with bronze unpluckable or even change up the tiers of some badges. So if you want to, you can drop down all the gold badges to silver, just so you can add 1 extra badge in being triple threat juke. It really comes down to what you want to do, but if you want to maintain it how I had it before with all gold badges, go ahead and do so, y'all. I promise you, as long as you feel comfortable with the setup that you're running, everything is going to work out in your favor. And if you made it this far, go ahead and leave a comment. Y'all know I'm watching for y'all, as well as hit that like button. We got to go ahead and get more viral, and I'm telling y'all, I believe we can do it with the Rich Gang family, the best of all. Now, let's go ahead and get into the defensive badges. So first, I'm going to go with clamps on gold as well as intimidator. Now, Hustler is a really overpowered badge. Whichever tier you decide to go ahead and put it on, do it. But honestly, if you wanted to change anything up, I would go with the Rebound Chaser first. Really important badge, as well as Rim Protector. Now, if you want to, I would definitely recommend going with Chase Down Artist on the highest tier that you can possibly get it. And for the next 4 badges, this comes down to personal preference. I'm going to go with first Interceptor on bronze, as well as possibly gold pogo stick or even Hustler, y'all. You could even spread the wealth if you wanted to go about it that way. Menace is actually another really good badge, but again, just know, as long as you like what the setup shows for you, I promise you, this is going to work out in your favor. Now, let's go ahead and get into the last category, which is going to be the shooting. So, we get 24 badges right here. The very first one that I feel like everybody should put on is definitely going to be Hot Zone Hunter on Hall of Fame. And just to pair it up with another overpowered badge, I'm going to go with Sniper on Hall of Fame as well. Now, from here, we got 16 more remaining badges. So for me, I'm going to go with Clutch Shooter on bronze, green machine, as well as volume shooter, and those are just to help out with boosting my shooting percentages. But if you want to take them off, you definitely can do so and roll without them. For me, if I were to do that, I would go with blinders on Hall of Fame as well as Deadeye. But if you want to, you can drop down Deadeye to silver. It just comes down to what you like. But for me, also, I would go with corner specialist and then catch and shoot both on silver. And then for the last 4 badges, this really comes down to how you see it. But honestly, like I said earlier, spreading the wealth is definitely something that I would consider on this build. Keeping on clutch shooter, green machine, as well as volume shooter. Now, let's go ahead and check out one other thing that we can do. You can also go ahead and put on limitless spot up, and that is another solid setup. Now, we're going to end it with 1 finishing badge, 24 shooting, 13 playmaking, and 19 defensive, y'all. Again, thank you, God, for giving me this opportunity. Thank y'all for the support and allowing me this platform. Showing it means the most to me, so I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Bangers dropping daily as well as TikTok, so hit me up on TikTok, spelled the exact same way as my YouTube, in the bottom left corner of the screen. And man, y'all already know what y'all need to do. Be sure to hit that sub button if you're new. Anybody looking to join the Rich Gang family, RGF, be sure to go ahead and turn on post notifications as well as hit that like button. Y'all, let's go ahead and get at least 100 likes. Be sure to share it with your family and friends. And man, with all that being said, I got one last thing to say. Rich out.